This is Charles Laughlin. I'm Vice President, Managing Editor of BIA Kelsey. And we have an analyst roundtable this afternoon with two of our senior analysts. We have with us Peter Krasowski. Peter, why don't you say hi?
Hey there.
And we have Abid Chaudhry. Abid, say hello.
Hey, folks.
Okay, so we're going to cover a couple big topics going on in the local media space. Peter, we're going to start with you. You've been following what's been going on with recent developments with Cars.com. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what it means?
Well, the newspaper companies need some money. The newspaper companies own a couple of the greatest national verticals out there. One of them is Cars.com. So last week at Week, Classified Ventures, which is the holding company for 5 newspaper companies, is trying to cash out and potentially selling Cars.com. The question we have is, who would buy such a fantastic property? Cars.com, of course, is the #2 auto site after AutoTrader. Also, Cars.com is arguably the Avis as opposed to Hertz, but it has a lot of different features than AutoTrader. It focuses more on social media. It's very consumer-centric. So the question is, would one of the newspaper companies, i.e. Gannett, decide that they're going to buy out the other partners? It's possible. Gannett probably wants to focus on its TV investments, but we can see that. Other possibilities, throw one out there. Google would theoretically be a fantastic buyer and be willing to put up the money for Cars.com. So we're waiting to see how that happens. There are also auto services companies like Apex and Reynolds and Company and others. A lot of people would be interested in such a fantastic property, but can they pony up what is estimated to be from $2.8 billion to $3.2 billion? It's a lot of money, a lot of things to cash in on. So let's see how it goes.
Thanks, Peter. So as the #2 player, how significant it is to be, is it that space is big enough that there are room for 2 or 3 big players? It's not a situation of being #1 or nothing.
Cars.com makes its money in 2 major ways. One is through monthly subscriptions with auto dealers, and there are over 20,000 dealers participate that way. It has a very similar base that way with AutoTrader, so that's overlap. They both have AutoTrader accounts and Cars.com accounts. AutoTrader has a few thousand more. Then they have the national car maker advertising contracts, and they're both competing for that as well. So we'll see how that goes. AutoTrader theoretically could also be in the mix. We'll see whether it thinks that there's a strategic reason to own the #2 and see what kind of issues there are with that. There could be some antitrust issues and other things.
Yeah, I was wondering that question, and also the question about whether there's overlap. The overlap is so great that it wouldn't be such a great investment for them.
Theoretically, there are customers that are AutoTrader types, and there are Cars.com types. They're both really great companies.
Okay. Well, thanks, Peter. That was great. Abid, let's talk to you for a minute about Yahoo and Yelp. What's going on there?
So it was an interesting last couple of weeks for Yahoo, and the big news was that they announced a new partnership with Yelp, where now when you do search results or search queries on Yahoo portals, Yahoo search engines, or Yahoo's mobile search, you're actually going to find Yelp-related listings and business listings directly within the search results for any local business or restaurants that are in an actual Yahoo search result. And this is a pretty big development because it provides more fuel to the fire to all the speculation that's been happening around Marissa Mayer and her intention to rebuild Yahoo's search engine business. Yahoo closed 2013 with about 11% of total market share for search in general, and this is very, very little compared to about 67-68% of what Google has normally. And it's all indications that are pushing towards Marissa Mayer and Yahoo getting Yahoo back into the search game in earnest and really trying to differentiate themselves with unique offerings and unique services. And the Yelp product is probably one of the best for reviews for local businesses in general on the web. And so for Yahoo to integrate that it's probably going to do a lot for their overall traffic and stickiness to bring consumers back from search results, whether it's on desktop or mobile. And what's really interesting about this is that it adds to additional things that have been happening within Yahoo itself, like introduction of native and stream ads on mobile devices, all moving towards having a brand new face for search within Yahoo that is completely different from the way it used to be with their Microsoft Bing alliance and with the way it used to be when they were still competing with Google directly. So it's been an interesting week.
So ultimately, how does I mean, is this going to be enough and to compete with Google? And maybe a better question is, how do they compete with Google? How do they differentiate and make this interesting?
Well, yeah. Sure. So it's an interesting question, and I think right now what Yahoo is thinking is we don't necessarily want to compete directly with Google in the actual search game as much as carve out a new piece for Yahoo itself. And what I think they're doing, from all signs, from a content perspective, is that they're trying to drive people directly to mobile-related search activity, because that's where they've got their new Gemini advertising platform really pushing out native and stream ads, as well as new type of search ads outside of what's happening with their Bing partnership, which provided about $460 million in revenue to Yahoo last year, but it's still only a fraction of the total pie that search can bring. And I think what Yahoo is doing right now is just lining up all the troops and putting everything where it needs to be in order to have a really big competitive push in the next 2 or 3 quarters against Google and Microsoft itself. It's got to be an interesting situation for Yahoo, though, because they're still very much in cahoots and in a good alliance with Microsoft, and Bing still provides a lot of search result revenue for Yahoo itself. So they can't go and say that we're leaving the Microsoft Bing alliance, but what they can do is go and create a brand new niche for themselves, and over time try to develop that out.
Do you see a next move that logically follows this?
Well, I think what's going to happen next for Yahoo is that they're going to continue to develop their mobile assets. They've purchased in the last year many different types of apps, whether they're news apps, organization, mobile search. I think what's happening behind the scenes is that there's some sort of integration taking place, and this Yelp example of bringing in outside content to spruce up and build out the actual search content that they've already got is just the tip of the iceberg, I think. There's going to be much more coming out in the next year, I think.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ahmed. So that was a quick roundup on a couple of the big stories of the past week or so in the local digital media space that we cover. Thanks for joining us on this Hangout, and please keep your eye peeled for future Hangouts. We're going to be doing them on a regular basis to keep us up to speed, keep you up to speed on developments going on in our space. And again, thanks for joining, and thank you to Abed and Peter for coming on today.
Thanks, folks.
That's all. Thank you. Bye-bye.